you love to travel and save money? Or do you wish you could travel but money is holding you back? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Family's Flyfree podcast, where I show you how to fly your family free forever using my simple Flyfree formula. I'm your host, Lynn Mettler. My family of four has mastered the art of flying free as simply as possible since 2015, and I want to show your family how to do it too. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Family's Flyfree podcast. I'm Lynn Mettler, and right now I am working on preparing for our Family's Fly Free social tonight. So this is for members of our Family's Fly Free program, and we have member socials a couple times a year. It's one of the many fun things that we do inside of the program, but this is a chance for members to get together on Zoom and share their video, and we break out into Zoom rooms. And we give everybody a travel topic to discuss and share with small groups. We play fun games. We get to know one another, and then we give away some prizes. So it's one of my favorite things that we do inside the membership, because I love getting to know our members and putting a face with a name and learning about their families and their travel goals. So it's just one of many fun things that we do inside of Family's Fly Free. So I'm working on that today, but I also wanted to record this podcast because I think it's an important topic, and it may be something that you haven't thought about. While we usually chat on this podcast about how to use travel rewards for fun trips and vacations that you're usually planning well ahead of time, it is a fact of life that sometimes we'll have to travel all of a sudden due to a particular situation, or perhaps just at a time that we can't plan ahead for due to a family emergency, or it could even be something like you have a family member who's getting ready to give birth to a new child. So both of these things are relatively unpredictable and can leave you in a tough spot if suddenly you need to be somewhere beyond driving distance in a hurry. And we talked about in the podcast episode on the cheapest days to fly and other tips for saving as much as possible on airfare, which I've linked in the show notes below. So on that one, we talked about you're going to find the worst fares typically within 30 days of a flight. So you always want to do your best to try to book at least 30 days out. So if you find yourself left with just a couple days notice or even same day notice to get somewhere, it's very easy to end up shelling out thousands of dollars for that airfare. And that's no fun, particularly in a stressful situation. Family's Fly Free member, Trevor Fiore, talked about a similar situation in my podcast interview with him. And he talked about how he had a situation where his father had a stroke while traveling to Alaska. And so Trevor had a bank of points already ready to go, and he was able to fly out and help his father deal with the situation and eventually get back. And he said, it's just a blessing to be able to have had that at a moment's notice where you don't have to worry about coming up with a $2,000 airfare. So there are obviously many benefits to learning how to accrue travel rewards and use them to travel for free. But this is an often overlooked one unless you find yourself in one of these situations. And it is incredibly helpful to have a bank of rewards points ready to go, ready to use should you need to at a moment's notice, and have the peace of mind that you don't have to worry about coming up with a costly airfare at the drop of a hat. The Family's Fly Free system is designed to help you always be accumulating more points through your everyday spending. It's not earn a bunch of points, burn through them, and then not know how to get any more. And it's also not a requirement that you need to be signing up for a credit card bonus in order to get your next chunk of points. The system is designed to help you always accumulate points through your everyday spending to keep that balance from being empty ever. It should never be empty. You're always earning more points as you spend those points down. So it's just a continual flow of points in and out of your account. Now, we do encourage you to use your points here at Families Fly Free rather than let them sit, a whole bunch of them sit unused. But it is a good practice to set aside an emergency fund of points, if you will, just like you would have an emergency fund of cash, both of which can be used in just such a situation. And I also really love Southwest Airlines for these types of situations as well. So not only can you book any flight that you need with points, any flight, any day, any time, even if there are a lot of points, as opposed to having to look for a designated award seat. And you on Southwest, you can always cancel and change your flight as much as you need without penalty. And this is particularly the case if you're booking in points. You really have complete and utter flexibility booking Southwest in particular and booking them in points. There's no change fees. There's no cancellation fees. You can get your points put right back in your account. They never expire. It's complete peace of mind, in my opinion. So an example from me is before my father passed away a couple of years ago, during the peak of COVID, I was waiting for a doctor at his hospital to allow me to go in and see him because the protocols then of who could and couldn't come into the hospital, were very tight. And he lived in a different state than I did. So I just kept booking Southwest flights and then adjusting them, moving them a day forward, canceling them, changing them, postponing them, until I got the actual official okay that I would be allowed in. And even booking those flights ahead of time and continuing to move them helped me to save on the points price instead of being right up against the same day and having to book right then. And it was so incredibly helpful to not have to even think about unnecessary fees or have to try to call an airline and explain my story to an agent to try and convince them to waive the fee, which is not something you need to be worrying about or having to do in a situation like that. And I remember on our honeymoon, a long time ago, my uncle died. And so we ended up having to leave our honeymoon early. And I remember having to call the airline and be upset and have to try to explain to them to please, could they waive the fee because I needed to change my flight, in order to attend a funeral. So you don't even have to do that with Southwest. It's a non-issue. Cammie on the Families Fly Free team had a similar situation before me when her mother was going through cancer treatment. And Cammie said no one knew exactly when her mom's surgery was going to be scheduled because it was based on how she was managing and doing with her current chemotherapy treatments. So Cammie didn't know exactly when to book the flight in order to go see her and help her. And Southwest's flexibility allowed her to cancel and reschedule as often as she needed, again, without worry. And I've linked in the show notes to an article that Cammie wrote about how helpful this was for her and kind of her strategy that she took when going through this. That's on our website. But in it, she said, it made this difficult time with my mom less stressful than it needed to be. And amen to that. I've also had a member who joined Families Fly Free in the last year, specifically because he found himself in yet a similar situation to the ones I'm describing with a parent who needed medical care that he needed to travel to see ASAP. But he did not have any points saved, and he did end up having to pay a very expensive airfare as a result. And that was enough to help him see that he needed to have a better strategy, a better plan in place to ensure that he did always have points, enough points ready to go, whether he needed to visit a family member or whether he was just going to travel for leisure, for fun. So clearly, there are so many benefits to learning how to use travel rewards and having a simple system in hand. And inside of Families Fly Free, a team of experts who are ready to help you with anything you need, or if you find yourself in a situation with this, to help you know what the next best steps are to take. So when those stressful periods of life emerge, and unfortunately, none of us can escape those, you won't even have to think twice about the travel side of things, and you can focus more of your efforts on the situation that's happening. So here's hoping that for now, all of your travels are for pleasure. But do consider this as planning for the future, to make things less stressful on yourself and the situation as a whole. All right, I hope that was helpful, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your week. If you're ready to fly your family free forever, I invite you to join my Families Fly Free membership. You'll learn how to stop paying for airfare throughout the US, Caribbean, and Europe so you can make those priceless family travel memories before your kids or even your grandkids leave home for good. And you'll learn it using my simple, proven formula that's helped hundreds of families. Plus, it's risk-free. You either get your investment in the membership back in free travel, or I give you your money back. You can get more information at familiesflyfree.com/join.